Hello everyone, today we will animate this fancy donut character in After Effects by using the Duik Angela plugin. And yeah, let's have fun and dig in. So before we animate our project, let's dig into the Photoshop file. And as you can see, I really set up my donut character. Is super simple and also in this T-pose shape, so we can later put our puppet pins easier. So yeah, it's just here the hand, one layer, arms, legs, left foot, and the same for the other. And the body, I even made it just a whole comp. But inside the comp, you can turn on the eyes and eyes closed or open. I even put a secondary face if you want, or a second mouth. So just feel free and use it as you like, as you wish. You can find all the files that I use here in this in the video description. So yeah, just check it out. And yeah, let's jump into the animation. So one thing. Before we animate our character in After Effects, we will use a free-to-use plugin, Duik Angela plugin, and it's free to use. You just need to download like the non-profit education use. You can download here. Don't take me to my download. Just click on this. So after we download the file and unzip it, we will get like several files here. The most files you can just ignore. The one that we need is here, the scripts file, and under scripts there is one called like scripts UI. These are the one we just need to copy and paste in our After Effects folder. And then the next step is to go under your MacBook application folder. Of course, this differs for Windows users, but you can just check out where you installed your After Effects, and according to that, just follow the same file structure. So we go here to Adobe After Effects 2025. Then inside there, we will see a folder called scripts. Under scripts, we will see scripts UI panel. So we just drag and drop and copy it. And then you have it installed. So in After Effects itself, we just import our Photoshop file with the donut just directly. Like I press drag and drop. Choose as always composition, retain layers here in the settings, and keep the other settings same. And now we have our donut and our comp. We can, for now, because I want like to have this Instagram cube format, I just first changed my composition to 1080 by 1080 to have like my cube. Then to also have a background here, because it's a bit hard to read right now, the arms, they're in the same color as the background, like this darkish black. We add here with right click, new, a solid color, and I make mine white and just put it on the back. And the next thing is we will lock our background so we don't accidentally click on it. And we try to reposition our character cool in the frame. So what I do is I click right click, new, on layers, new, no object. I select all my layers here and connect them to my node. And I just now scale my node a bit up so my character is in a good frame. By the way, mine is a bit in a low resolution because I put here quarter. It's always good for animating to animate like in a low setting, so it renders faster, the preview. So don't wonder, like if I make full quality, it's full quality. So just don't get confused. Always like to get like the middle of my comp cool. I can turn on here this proportional grid. Then I see like my lines here, and I can really align my character in the middle here. So this is pretty cool. Can turn it back off. And now my character is in the middle, and I can just delete the no object and my comp is ready to go. The next thing is we will now try to rig our character. For example, if I want to move my arm here, like it's really hard to animate just the arm like bandy like in After Effects. Like we can use puppet tools and whatever, but it's more easier with a rig system like Duik. So I want to explain you guys now. So to animate this arm, I just select it here in my layer. I can make my resolution to full or to half. This is enough. And I will just solo it with the background. So I just see my arm. Then I go up here and select my puppet position pins. And I just create 3 pins here. Like one for the shoulder, one for the hand itself, and one for the armpit. And for example, now if I take this one, you can see already a bending happening. And we will now enhance this rig basically with Duik. So what I do is now, while I selected all my pins here, you can press U on the keyboard and you see After Effects created down here like some keyframes, each one for 1 pin. And we just select them all and we will open the Duik plugin system. We go under here, window, and you just scroll down. Like mine has a bit more, but yours, like your Duik should pop up here. So what we want to grab and open is Duik Angela JSX. It's the file we imported before. And now we can see it opened here. So the next thing we want to do is now create pins for our arms. So we can easily grab them also without having this puppet pin highlighted. To do that, we just go on our Duik Angela UI. And as you can see, it has many settings. And I also don't know each and every one of them, but the one I do know works for our system. So we just select our puppet pins here, go here on our 3rd tab and check add pins. And what this does is, when I select it, now every pin that I created before with the puppet pin, it creates like a pseudo layer to grab it. And we can just easily animate it like with position, for example. And this is easy for our arm rig. Then the next magic thing that Angela does is like according to where select your first selection here. So I want to make a controller here on my arm with the hand. Like this is my hand layer, so it's on the left side. So it's important that I click on the right order where my hand starts. In this case, it's on the left side. So I first select this pin here, the middle pin here, and the 3rd pin here, and click Alter Rig on my Duik system. And now when you see it, it now created like here this new layer. It's called C left arm. And when I now just grab this arm, you can see now we have like a bending happening. And this is perfect to get like this rubber arm rig for our donut character. So this is pretty nice. And yeah, let's turn on our other layers again. So now with our character fully revealed, we can see here our arm controller. It looks really nice and fancy. And now we just connect here our hand to our new controller here. So we parent it like this. And now if I just grab my arm, you can see now we have a fully easy arm rig for our donut character. And basically we just repeat this process one by one for every limb of my donut character. So because they're all connected here, like this last pin, it's up here. Like I can grab this one. Because this is connected on the body, I can also directly connect it on my body. So in case I move my body, you can see my limb is always attached to it. So the next thing is here, then the right arm. So I repeat the process exactly the same as I did before. I create 3 pins. Press U on my keyboard. Select them all. Add pin. Now because on my right side, my hand starts here on the right, I don't start by clicking the left side. I just click like the reverse at the right side like this. Click here on Alter Rig. Bam. And now I already have a new arm controller here created. And now I have my other. Then I can unhide again to see how it works. And it works. In this case, for example, I want the bending not to happen on the right side, but on the opposite side. So to fix this issues, we just go on our controller right arm, the effect controls, and here we see like an effect called slide. It's now set by -100. So if I just delete the minus, it's now reversing our bending, as you can see here. So yeah, the next thing is I connect my hand to my arm, controller right. So when I select it, I can easily move it around. Also, a good thing is to notice, like it's the best thing to also put the rotating port exactly where the controller is for your hand. So when you later rotate your arm, so I do the same process over here on my left arm. So we can rotate them like super cool later. All right, then here we also shouldn't forget like this pin in the back. It's this one to connect it also again with our body. And you can already notice like how the rig gets like slow for life, but it also makes it clunky, but we will fix our timeline so it looks clean again later. So the next thing is of course our feet here. Because our feet is not super straight, I try to first readjust it by connecting the foot with my leg here, just to make it also super straight, because it's better to start like with straight position for your character for the rigging process, and then you can bend it around whatever you'd like, so it's more accurate. And yeah, I just unparent my leg so we have a fresh start here, and then I repeat the same process here. I just show my leg layer here. I create 3 pins, one here, one for the knee, and one for the foot. I press U on my keyboard, select all my keyframes, press add pin, and then the selection order is of course important again, because down here is the foot, right? So we click it from down to up, press Auto Rig, and now you see we have a new controller. We can just test it and it works. So yeah, then we can unhide everything again. And now we can try to connect our foot. Before we connecting it, we can just put it around here to the same controller, connect it to our left pin here, and then also here, this pin up here, it can also be connected with our body. So when we move our body, the leg stays in the same position. All right, now for our final limb, we just repeat the process again. I select it, create 3 pins, press U on my keyboard, select all my pins here, add pin. Then of course again the order is important, so from down to up, press Auto Rig here. Then I see it created a new controller, make a test bending and it works. Unhide everything, and now I just parent my right foot here on my controller layer, like this, and I can just make again a test bending. Now I also try to connect from my this pin over here again with the body. So when I move my body around, everything's now connected, and basically the rig is now complete. Just small thing notice, I also like to, when I have characters, I always try to link the anchor point of the whole body around the hip area, like here. So later, if when we move around the body, we get like a nice hippie animation going. So the next thing is to clean up a bit our timeline here. It looks really clunky and really hard to navigate. So what I do is usually like these kind of layer here, they are now useless and we don't need to touch them anymore. So I just select them all, press here this lock button so I don't accidentally click on them. Then, for example, here, this left arm, these 3 pins annoy me, so I just turn them off so I don't see them. And we can now tidy our timeline also additional up by not seeing the layers by clicking here on this shy guy. If it's not visible on yours, you can turn it on here with the expand or collapse layer down left on the corner, and now it's turned on. But if I turn it off here and select here also my hide all layers, we see it now collapses them, so it makes our timeline more easier to read. So basically I repeat this for the same process for all my other limbs. For example, here my left layer, I just turn these off so I don't see the pins, press the shy guy, and it's more cleaner. Then the same process here, right leg, I hide my 3 pins here, press the shy guy, and it's now hidden. And the last step is here for my right arm. I lock everything, hide my pins here, and use the shy guy to just narrow it down. Like this, we have a super manageable timeline without being confused with thousands of layers. And now we just have the most important thing, the body, the controllers, and the hands later to just animate like some rotation, basically. So yeah, this is the way to go. So because we want to do a walk cycle, I want to first animate the feet movement, and I will just estimate, maybe I make around a 6 seconds animation. And yeah, let's start then first with the left leg here. So what I do is I press P, I separate my dimension, so I have X and Y separately, so this keyframe just moves left and right, this moves up and down, and I can just animate now the leg movement. So a smart thing is to first put the feet firstly on the back with the X position and create like a sliding animation, so it can slide back and forth. Maybe I make it like this, and I just check out. I'm making ease, so we have basically like this movement happening. And now, according to that, we just create a Y keyframe here. And here it should touch again the ground, right? And then here in the middle, the foot should be up. So I have basically a triangle happening here, touch the ground and slides back. And then the keyframe should be also here, because we will apply on board loop out expression. So yeah, it works. So I write in loop out, so it loops endlessly on the right side with the same keyframes. And this expression, what basically does is it just copy and paste the keyframes like this. And as you can see, after 6 seconds, it loops flawless because we animated on 2. So this is what it actually does without copying it. And we just have our core keyframes here. And let's check it out. And the walk cycle already works pretty nice. And according to that, we also animate, of course, our left foot here. It's this layer here. I press R, and then maybe up here when it's going up, the foot can go a bit this. Up here it can release straight up here like this. And then up here it can go again like 0. So we have like this movement happening here. So he hits the ground, slides back. And we can just check it out. And now we also need to loop it, of course. Loop out. And now we already have our first leg animated pretty nice. So we just repeat this process again for our other layer here. So we will go to right leg. And I really just animated it also in the same keyframes because later we will just move them, but we will have a flawless loop animation. So what I mean is I just separate it as before. I use my previous keyframes as orientation. So here my leg should be fully on the left. Now he looks like Michael Jackson doing this bending movement from his concerts. Then we move forward and go back again to make our loop complete. Then we apply again this loop out expression as before. I wrote it wrong. So here. Now we're sliding. Now we animate also again the same. So here, actually in this case, because it has the same value, we can just copy and paste our Y positions. And now we have the same movement happening. The same should also work for the foot here. So I copy paste my keyframes here, press R for rotation, and paste the same keyframes here. And sadly, the last and first frame are not 0. So I need to just quickly readjust these. So I make them 0, so they're fully flat on the ground. But with this technique, we already have our foot animation now animated. So now the core of the foot animation is now done, and I can just place them now together. So here I put the down to right foot, and maybe I just color code them in the same value, maybe like orange. The same for this left foot. Maybe I make them both red. And now I can just grab my right foot, for example, and push it like to the left to just offset it. But basically I offset it so it's the mirrored version, and we have like an easy walk cycle going already. Yeah, it looks pretty cool already. And just a small note, we can see here from this Duik Angela rig this line which is dashed. Later on it won't be rendered in After Effects because, as you can see here, it has this guidelines layer here. You can turn it on by right-click guide layer, and what this symbol does, it means it shows here in the preview but later not on the render. But if it still annoys you during your process, you can just click on this and then here on the display and turn this draw guideline off. So I just turn it off for both. And now we can see our movement animation without the guide layers. Now the next thing is we will animate our hand layer. So what I also usually do is take the reference again from one foot layer here, and I can just pop up my keyframes basically by pressing U on my keyboard. So I can just show my keyframes by pressing U, and here I just check out, for example, here my leg is fully back on the side, so I need to put my arm also like on the opposite, so it should be here. And here in this case, we shouldn't bother yet with the hand, this we will fix later, but just for getting the arm first right, it should be always mirrored side, so here. And then it should move here on the back. And a good practice is always also to avoid like this straight line animation, because now it looks like this, which looks a bit weird. So we just choose this curve, convert vertex tool to just make it a bit like roundy. And to finish our loop again, it should start of course here again, and we just bend it back also in a roundy shape to have like something like this. So we can just highlight them. You can also play a bit with the values if you want. So it's a bit more live. Then I press loop out. Loop out. And now I have a cool arm rotation happening. Like if you want and to give more character, for example, in this process can go up, down. So we have like a bit like the power of showing this arm rig that we created, so it doesn't look so stiff. It's like really a small movement, but it helps to make it more alive. Then here, of course, the hand, we need to orientate it like cool. Can make it like rotate here. Then here. And then here again. I copied the expression before and applied here. So we have like a cool small hand movement here while happening. And this works like. Alright, this looks fine. Then the next thing I would also do is for my front arm, back arm here. So here we see the behind foot is on the front, so we should start on the back. So something like this. If you're bothered with the body itself, you can just hide it for this process, but for me it doesn't matter. So I just animate it like this. Use our vertex tool again to make it more roundish. Go back to my previous keyframe here and make always sure this round curve is happening. Highlight my keyframes. I also give it a small different curve here. And I press loop out. Maybe in this case it can move a bit more further to the front. So I select again my second keyframe here and just push it a bit further to the front to just see more of this arm on the back. Yeah, something like that. Then the next thing is of course also the hand and rotation here. So here my hand's on the back. I can just make it visible here. So it should be like this, right? With the thumb back. Then here on the front, the hand can be like this. And then it should loop out again. So I just copy the first keyframe here. Press loop out. And now it's actually already cool. So I do the same process here. I just hide all, move them together, like here, or our hand, give them the same color code like yellow. Same here for this arm. I give them color code blue. And now we easily divide our layer with colors to make them easily recognizable. I can also now turn off the draw layers on both to not see this dashy line. And now we have our hand animation done. Cool. Now the last few steps is to also give a bit the body movement, because we rigged them all perfectly here, and we can see now he's like dancing around these arm and leg layers. So we use as a base our first animation here, this leg animation. And for example here, we can give him a small bouncy animation. Maybe it can happen always in 1 second. So he bounces up and down a bit. I also just animate it a bit. And this should be also loop out. Now we have like something like this, which already looks fine. Right now, which annoys me is a bit, he works really straight. So if I open my ruler here and I check like the body silhouette, he's always between these two lines. So wherever I stop, yeah, it looks then a bit stiff in my opinion. So because we put our rotation point down here, we can also add a small rotation. So for example, he can move always a bit forward. Then while he is stepping forward, he can do like a little, like 2 frames, a small rotation. Then to loop out again, the same thing. Loop out. I just loop it out. Then I have something like this going here, which looks already so much better. And I make sure I animate on 1 second because we make a 6-second animation, so it loops flawlessly. And I can even just offset it a bit, so it's not happening at the same time with the leg, which gives a bit more dynamic movement. But actually before that, there's one thing you can even enhance more. Like we can click on the body, create like, here's some pins. Add this pin up here, we can grab it to make like a head wobbly animation also going on. So what we can do here is we can also create like for this pin here an add pin with our Duik script. Okay. So what we can do here is we can click on this pin here and do like a slightly light animation here. Something like this. So the head feels like a donut, a bit wobbly, let's say, not so 100% like a stone. So we have a small movement like this happening here, which looks pretty nice for our character. And you can also even improve it while animating maybe these kind of keyframes here. So I just move them like a tiny bit to give this more like a jelly donut feeling. And be always sure to put out your loop out expression to everything to save just yourself time. So in this case, I just offset them a bit so they don't happen at the same time. And now it looks really nice. Now we can just enhance it by adding background and a bit more like textures and stuff. So for that, I just go on my donut layer and I just hide this one so he's really transparent and drop him into a new composition. And here we can see like he looks flawlessly. But for example, I want to make my animation faster. So first I re-add again my white background. By the way, I turned it here off because I want to set up my background like here. So I will just call donut plus BG for background. And I just checked my 6-second mark as before because I here animated my donut. Press here, right click on my donut, enable time remapping. Click here on my keyframe here to create one here and one here. And this process that I do now is to make my animation faster or slower. So after here you can see my animation stops And we use like a lot of this loop out expression. So when I press here, my animation just loops here endlessly. And for that reason, I can just move it, like if my animation is maybe 12 seconds long in total, let's make it 12 seconds long. I can make it maybe till 3, so he's really a bit faster. And it looks already more nice to watch. So yeah, let's now, like, if you want to make the animation slower, you just move this like maybe 8 seconds long. Then we have a slower walk cycle. So with this, you can easily control the speed of your walk cycle. But I want like a sport active donut who really cares of his body and shape. So I move him around here in 3 seconds. So to create a shadow, it's pretty easy. We can just turn back before our donut to 6 seconds. Then I create here new shape. I create like here, I select ellipse tool, make the fill black, no stroke. And I can just draw an ellipse like this, for example. I press Command on the anchor point here with the pen behind tool to put my anchor point in the middle here. Drop it below my donut. Make the opacity maybe 30. Something, yeah, this could work. I will make 25, for example. And I will just now open here my contents, settings of the ellipse tool with the size. Turn off the setting here so I can just easily bend it how I wish. And when I check before my main legs animation here, we animated on 1 and 2. So after 1 second, our donut is fully like in the middle. So we can maybe shrink it down like this. And then at 2 seconds, our loop is done. Then I can press loop out expression again here. And in this case, it's maybe better to even move it a bit further, smaller. To something like this happening. I don't want to include it right now into my my layer itself here because I want to create later a stroke around my donut, and it would then create here a shadow stroke, which I don't want. That's why I'm animating it outside already. Alright. So now before we go back to our details, let's finish up our donut by creating like a more stylized frame here. So I go here to my shadow, I add rough edges, and what this does, it breaks down these perfect aligned shapes. As you can see here, I can crank up the border so it doesn't look so flawless, so it looks more like hand-drawn, which I personally like, so I just add it. I even reduce a bit more. Then I turn back again my speed of my animation. I can just highlight both here, press Option on my keyboard to just shrink it down, and it also proportionally shrinks down my shadow here so it aligns perfectly. In this case, I may just kill this keyframe so we have like something like this happening, and I can just roughly retime it. So now the next thing is we added our background. I create like first of all the ground here. I take this donut color here, move it down here, and just push it to create a ground. I can always use my reference that I already done here. And yeah, so I did this. Then I duplicate this shape here. Then change this layer fill with this brownish color here to create like a more bay way. I push it again up, go to scale and reduce it like this. So I have like a way for my donut created. Then I can maybe push this layer a bit more up, something like that. Then I will create something like a fence behind, push this more up, use a new solid color for this. And I thought maybe something like that. And on top of that, I wanted to put some of this donut pink to just have again this color somewhere. Then I duplicate it, put in front of everything to create something like a foreground here. And behind that, I also add my pink donut shape here. And now I have like a cool, nice way created. So to create like this background from my reference here, I just create a new composition here. We call 21,920. And I just create a dot, make it white. Maybe this is even too big, but you can easily, and I click Option again, Command to make it here in the middle. You can just shrink it down, like how you want. Maybe like this shape here to create like a dot. And I use CC Repeatile. And what this does is I can press right and it duplicates it endlessly to the right. So this is fine. Left. So I will just create like, I add everything maybe 2000. Or let's make 600. Oh no, let's make 2000. So I just copy and paste this earlier. So we have a dot full of everything. To get more spacing in between them, I just apply the same Repeatile effect again. And I press here none, so it doesn't repeat anything before. And if I crank this up, you can see it creates spacing around everything. So to get the right spacing of all the same, I add 30-30. Then I have like a cool pattern shape here created already. Then I go back to my donut animation and just drag and drop the pattern here. And now it's not visible because I have a white background. So let's just change it quick by changing the white background to something bluey. So I really try to dig now this Candy Crush color. Something like that. Then I can just move the pattern a bit up. If I don't like the resolution, I can just scale it down. I also make the opacity a bit less, so the focus isn't killed on my donut. I also slightly rotate them. Something like this. And I use the same technique as in our lighthouse rotation faked video by rulering out one dot here, for example this one. And because we have a 12-second animation, I can just animate a loop out after 1 second, and it should just highlight. So for example, here it's a bit cut out. To fix this, we can just expand our main comp here by writing width multiply with 2. So it expands here. Then you can just move it more in the middle so it fully covers everything. Just make sure the first dot point here is in the same corner. And then, yeah, it should work. Yeah, something like this. And then we can just loop out it, and it should loop out flawless. Now the background helps us to give like an illusion that he moves forward. Like we can also make it a bit slower, so it looks more organic. Yeah, that's actually it with the animation and background. And now let's finally give it the last final touch to make it look awesome. So right now the donut, because he has right now the same color as my background, he doesn't stand out. So what I do is I create like a layer style and click stroke. And as you can see, he now got like a fancy red stroke around his body. I just make it white and crank it a bit up. If I make full resolution, it looks really cool. So yeah, I will make mine maybe 10, which looks really nice on my donut. And this is also the reason I didn't make my shadow layer here inside it, or else it would also get an outline. And I just scale it a bit down, this rough edge, because then I noticed it's a bit too much. Then the next thing is, let's create an adjustment layer. So I will do my fancy trick with two-point displays to give like this wobbly line. You can see now he got a he got a big head here. But we will just crank it down 12, and this evolution we make it time multiply with 6 as an expression. What this does, it creates some wobbly lines here. You see that, like especially in the background, they don't look stiff anymore, they look like hand drawn a bit. Then additional to that, I add a small noise effect, so the picture is not super flawless, and crank it up to create like something this Rito style by just adding 5%. Then the next thing is I added post-rest time to give it more this frame by frame look by reducing the frames maybe to 12 frames. And now it looks more rough, but it gives a lot of character. So this is looking really great. And that's basically it with this animation. And what I did at the end was just create also a small frame. So I clicked this rectangle tool, create a frame, reduce the stroke to 0, fill to 0, and the stroke to maybe 45. Then I just added a zigzag effect here, and you can just crank up the value how you wish. So I made like this pattern here. I liked it, it looked like a postcard, but this is basically it. I hope you had a fun time animating the story with me, and if you want to see future videos like this, just hit the subscribe button. If you have some problems, reference, or ideas for future things, just let me know in the comments. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it a lot. If you feel like you want to have future content like this on your feed, feel free to just hit the subscribe button below. You can write comments below to just let me know how you liked it, and if you liked it a lot, or you have like suggestions for future videos, just also write them below. I will try to read them all. Happy animating. See you soon in the next video. Bye.